Hello, I am here in Victoria, back from Hawaii, and I'm just about to add Helen. Maybe. Let's turn that on. Waiting for her to like this now. And then she's going to come on, and today we are going to continue the conversation about this month's theme of acknowledgement. There she is. Let's see. Add. She's watching. There she is.
Hello, hello, hello.
Hello. Awesome. So here we are, Friday morning, both not together actually. It was actually interesting. I actually thought once we got back we'd be side by side. I forgot that we're still off doing our own things.
Well, you could always come for a drive with me, you know.
Awesome. Okay, so here we are today. We are continuing the conversation of acknowledgement. Really curious of what has been showing up for you as you kind of take on acknowledgement your way and discovering what it makes available for your family and your kids. What we took on last week was to like see what is happening around us, like opening our eyes and seeing our kids, seeing what they're doing, seeing what they're saying, seeing how they're interacting, and acknowledging for them, acknowledging them with that, and being present in those moments with them. Yeah. So and then this week, we get to level up.
We do.
Yeah, we get really to level up on that acknowledgement.
Yeah, and I loved what you created. That like last week we were really looking at what our kids were doing, and it wasn't for me. It wasn't even just my kids. It was in my whole family, right? And in my bigger world, what are people doing, right? And I just, as we're creating that, I'm really like I was just saying to you just now, like I got to spend yesterday morning with somebody else's kid, well, two kids, one of whom's the same age as mine, and it was just really noticing and saying to her everything that like she was doing that made a difference where I was, right? And so the younger one was being a real contribution to her older sister. And I know she had the most fabulous morning out of me being really aware of all the stuff she was taking on in that moment. We had this, I was sharing with you, but we had this hilarious moment. She packed the bag that we needed to take with us to an appointment, and she gets in the van and she says to me, "I feel like a soccer mom." And I'm like, I died laughing right at that moment. I'm like, great, you're the soccer mom. My job is done, that you get to be the soccer mom. But it was the joy in just noticing what we each took on to make that happen. We created a team, and we had a little name. I'm not going to say all the names, but we were a team so-and-so. And that's who we were all morning, was this team, out of like really noticing what she was contributing. It was beautiful and it was fun. I think that's what I want to say. It was so fun. You know, it could have been a heavy task-oriented morning, and it so wasn't. It was just this experience of being with this kid and like lapping her up, you know? Yeah, it was really, really funny.
I felt over here with me, it was the spillover to my husband. It was like by standing in acknowledgement, like it's interesting. Like it really gives me like standing there and like, okay, I'm playing this game. This is what I'm up to. And the presence and attentiveness that can show up in acknowledgement. And like oftentimes I can very much get very rote with my husband. It can become just a very like, okay, there's stuff we're doing, stuff we have to get up to, jobs to get done, situations to handle, or fires to put out. And having like that presence and that focus of like noticing people had me step into noticing him. And it was like, wow, like thank you for cleaning that in the kitchen. Like,
mm,
thanks for like, wow, that yard over there looks great. Or, just noticing like, oh, I saw when
mm-hmm,
you did that with Reed. Like there was an interaction he had with our youngest, which
mm-hmm,
sometimes goes a certain way, which not nobody in this household loves. And instead it was like noticing, wow, I noticed, how you just were with him. You really heard Reed. Like that really made a
mm,
difference. And by just
mm,
actually pausing and noticing it, it's I'm present and my mind is set to like see all the great things about my husband.
mm-hmm,
But it also then leaves him, like it really left him with something. It left him
mm-hmm,
seen, heard, connected, and valued for who he
mm-hmm.
was. And I like,
Yeah,
saw it in my husband and I saw it in all the kids this week of really
yeah,
acknowledging them for who they are. And they were left with value. They were left with, that they
yeah,
matter.
yeah, yeah. I so get that. I really do.
Yeah, it was so
And it
great.
just, yeah, right. And you just right in there, like I just hear, like in the noticing and being present, right, is like how it elevates the whole game of our life, right?
Mhm. Yeah. Like I actually felt more in love with my family,
Wow, awesome.
right?
Yeah,
Like I did. It was just like it was just like, wow, I actually really love my time with you. I really love my time here. It just had
mm,
me appreciate in a different way and make the most of it. Like I actually wanted
yeah,
to, sit down and snuggle in a little bit deeper instead of just get into a task to go and run and do,
yeah, yes, yes.
which
I
was
had
a
that
lovely
experience
sign
this
for me.
week. Yeah, no, I really had that. Like, I've really, and my kids are at home this week, right? Because all of them are at home. Yeah, and it was just like the opportunity to, like, whenever I walked in the house, one of them was there, and I had like all the snuggles and all the cuddles. Like, I really did. I really am present to, like, over and
Mm.
over how much, like, I like, yeah, in the moment affection there was, right? Out of just being like acknowledging them. Hey, I get to have you here. When I walk in the house, you're here.
Yeah,
Yay. You know? Yeah, I
yeah,
love that.
I love
Yeah.
it.
Mm.
I love it. I'm just really present to it. It's awesome. And now we get to level up. And now
I
like
can't
this
wait.
I know. So Helen and I, in creating this month of the different things we really want to look at with acknowledgement, like one of the key pieces was first really noticing what people are doing around us and how they're
Mm-hmm.
being and really acknowledging that and seeing that. And then this
Mm-hmm.
other space of acknowledgement is really looking at who are people for you. Like
Mm-hmm.
really getting clear and present for yourself. And it doesn't have to be when they're around, it could be when you're by yourself or when you're with them, is to
Mm-hmm.
really think about the important people of your life. Like for myself, each of my boys, I can't wait to actually go do this activity but for each of my boys to think, who are they to me? Like, why are
Mm-hmm.
they important? Like,
Mm.
what makes them really special for me?
Mm-hmm.
What do I experience or feel when I'm around them? What kind
Mm-hmm.
of contribution or difference do they make to my life? And like,
Mm.
why do I want them around and just want to squeeze them so tight? And not just for my children, but my husband or other people in our community or people, and just, taking some time to get connected to who people are for us and then sharing that with them,
Mm-hmm.
like who I get to be. Like just present to just like the joy of all those great people in my life and then that
Mm-hmm.
connection that comes and actually being sharing that and like connecting in that way of who people are and being vulnerable and emotional in
Mm.
that way and
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
allow people to really see your heart and see who they are and why they make a
Mm-hmm.
difference.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what this week is really about.
Yeah. I was just saying earlier, like I had an interaction with someone last night and they were having a really hard time with someone, and it's not somebody who's really close to them, but they were having an interaction and they were really left like really frustrated and upset in the interaction. And when they took a moment to actually think about who that person was, right? And what that person was really committed to and up to, in a moment, that person became somebody else, right? And there
Mm,
wasn't this clash. And so I know this sounds really conceptual, but in the moment of seeing like that person was actually a dad who was concerned for his kids, right? And that he really loved his kids, she she could acknowledge that that's all he was talking from. And so then she could have a conversation that went entirely differently, right? And she could
mm,
say, hey, I missed something. I haven't been including you, right? I know you really love your kids and you want the best, but I haven't been including you. So going forward, this is what I'm going to take on. But it was really seeing who he was for her that had her have this access that wasn't there before. And it's so powerful because the interaction changed on a dime.
Wow. Yeah, that's beautiful.
So I just hear that's what we have available, that instead of being like, you know, in any situation, there's that opportunity, right? We don't have to be like reacting to all the stuff we don't like when we're actually looking at who is that person for me? What are they bringing, right? And I
Hmm.
hear the same with my little, right? If she doesn't want to like be like doing her part and doing the dishwasher thing, right? So who is she? What difference is she making, right? That's who
Yeah.
you are for me, right? You're this contribution. You make this part really work for me, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I just noticed like if I'm present to my love for my kids, right? Which I'm often
Mm,
present to, but come a teenager into the house and some different interactions that could go underfoot, I could go to a very different space quickly.
mm-hmm,
But when I'm really present to who my child is for me, like what makes them so special to me and
mm-hmm,
what contribution they are, or difference that they make, or
mm-hmm.
really just present to how they light up my life and sharing
Exactly.
that with them, it just like everything else just melts away. Like all the
It really
tension or that
does.
clash you talked about, it just melts away. And
Yeah.
yeah, and often we can get really quick, right? Like we can get really fast in our day. We can get really like coming and going here and there, grab some food, throw it in your mouth, off you go. And we miss those moments to really connect with each other, to see each other for who we are. And, we can get a bit abrasive in our interactions and we can kind of
Yeah.
separate.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah. And that's and it's just it's so cool because that's actually not what we want, right? We actually want
No.
to like maintain our connection. And so,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, because at the end of those days, like at the end of those days where it's just been, the whirlwind or the busy days that many parents will face and have,
Hmm.
at the end of
Well,
the
of
day,
course.
you're just left with something. You're just left with
Yeah.
like, oh, that did not go how I wanted to go. Like you're left with some disappointment or dissatisfaction.
Yeah, for me, it's the dissatisfaction, right? Like I
Mhm.
know those days, it's not that I'm disappointed, but I am left with this, and there could have been something more. Because like really how it
Mm.
is just a bunch of tasks, right?
Yeah.
And there could have
Yeah.
been something so much more. Like that there is that stuff to do, but how do I get to do that stuff and feel satisfied, right? It's
Yeah.
this.
And it's interesting because just like a moment, like it doesn't even have to be like something big and intense. It could be, that
Hmm.
30-second moment of just getting present to your child and who they are. And it just shifts it all. Like everything shifts. How you see them, how you hear them, how you interact with them, everything shifts. And then they respond so distinctly, so very different from how it was going.
Hmm. I
Just
know
so
this.
amazing.
I know this because last night when I came home, this is the moment I had with Ella, right? I walked in, there was something that needed doing, and people were saying stuff. And I just looked at her and I'm like, here's my kid who gives the best hugs in the whole world, right? She really does. And when I stand with her and she hugs me, it's like there is no other place to be
Mm.
but to be embraced by her and her love for me. Like, do you know how generous she is? She loves me through thick and thin, that kid, you know? And she's always willing to give me that love and that hug, right? And in a
Mm.
moment, that's all there is, right? And then she went off to do whatever there was to do, right?
Mm. Those are those moments of life. Like those are those life
I know,
moments. It's just
right?
lovely, lovely. So that's the game we're playing this week. So I'm taking it to a fun, creative space, which you can do. You don't have to do. Today, after talking about this, I'm really connected to, I really want to get like my sketchbook out, which I don't draw, by the way. I don't want to leave you with I'm some artist. I'm not. But I'm getting my sketchbook out that I play in and whatever. And my fancy pencil crayons and drawing tools. And I just want to actually just have a page for each of my kids, just to get really
Mm,
present with who they are and
yeah,
write some words that come up or those special moments or just get
yeah.
present to who they are and just create whatever's there for me. And to me, that's like this expression for myself to emotionally connect with who they are to me. And
Mm,
I really want that for myself and our connection and that gift. But any way you want to do it for yourself, maybe it's even holding onto a picture, putting a picture on your phone, talking to
yeah.
them, writing a letter, journaling, or just thinking about them, when they're with you or thinking about when they're
Not.
not there.
Hmm.
And then in that next interaction you have with that person, and it could be your children, it could be your partner, it could be your parents, your siblings, the people you meet throughout the day, all the different people in your life, and then you can go and connect with them and actually share that with them. And like the difference you then get to make for them so that they can be seen for who they really are.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's just so beautiful.
Yeah. And I'm also just it doesn't even need to be a preemptive strike. Like, do you know what I mean? Like in a moment. I love what you're creating, that there's this opportunity to really like take on knowing who people are for you and actually really look. And also to bring that to every moment in our day, right?
Yeah. Yeah. It's a great pivoting tool of that, just to, really be with somebody. Take
Yeah.
that moment and be with them.
Mm,
Awesome. Oh,
awesome.
well, let's play. And we'd love to hear about what you're taking on with acknowledgement, what shows up for you, what you're finding it makes
Yeah.
available. Share it to the Facebook group at Committed Parenting Facebook group or in the comments below. But we would really love to hear from you too, to be involved
Yes,
in.
I'm really a
Inspire us
request for
all.
that.
Inspire us
Yes.
all.
Awesome.
Awesome.
Thank you.